You know that in 1938, Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, won an award from Nazi Germany for his devotion to peace and his humanitarian ideals. And in case you're wondering what humanitarian peacemaking looks like to Nazis, this award was given to Ford for distributing pamphlets to hundreds of thousands of people that blame the world's biggest problems like war and poverty on Jewish people. One of the publications he based his ideas off of was called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which has been widely regarded as the most notorious and widely distributed anti-Semitic publication of modern times. Although they were forged in the Orthodox Christian Russian Empire, the protocols were falsely advertised as a report secretly obtained from Jewish rabbis that listed out their plan to take over the entire world. And they exacerbated a series of Jewish massacres or pogroms throughout the country. As is the case with this example, you'll find that throughout history, hatred against Jewish people, in this case the forged text of the protocol, always rationalized further hatred against Jewish people, in this case the ensuing massacres. And this pattern can be tracked all the way back to the earliest traces of what has become modern anti-Semitism. So after Christianity became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire in the 4th century, one of the most widespread beliefs about Jewish people was the charge of Jewish deicide, in which early Christians believed that Jews of the past, present, and future were collectively responsible for the killing of Jesus Christ. Although the Catholic Church finally vindicated Jewish people with the Nostra Aetate in 1965, for the nearly 2,000 years that this idea circulated unchecked, the Jewish deicide conspiracy birthed further conspiracies to demonize and discriminate against Jewish people. One of them was called blood libel, and it was a belief that Jewish people murdered Christian children to steal their blood for demonic rituals and to mock the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And on top of the widespread pogroms, these ideas led to the systemic isolation of European Jewish communities, both in terms of where they could live and where they could work. Specifically, because they were excluded from being merchants and artisans in trade guilds, Jewish people in Christian-dominated Europe worked largely in money lending and other financial services. But the pattern continued in that this anti-Semitism bred more anti-Semitism. Even though Catholic Christians forced Jews into these financier roles, they started to believe that Jews took these jobs because they were greedy, untrustworthy, and of course colluding with the devil to destroy the Christian population. And unfortunately, Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation did not make things better. After failing to convert many Jewish people to his new branch of Christianity, Martin Luther published a piece in 1545 called The Jews and Their Lies, in which he said, "Therefore, be on your guard against the Jews, knowing that wherever they have their synagogues, nothing is found but a den of devils," going on to say that their houses should be razed and destroyed. And it wouldn't be until centuries later, in the second half of the 20th century, that Lutheran churches would collectively denounce these ideas. And as we know, during this time, Protestantism became the dominant form of Christianity in the United States, including across almost all of our presidents and most of our politicians. But theological discrimination wasn't the end-all be-all of this form of hatred. With the invention of race and modern taxonomy, ideas of Jewish inferiority became cemented in secular, pseudo-scientific discourse. And this is when we actually see what many historians consider a more theological anti-Judaism evolve into a more race-based or ethnicity-based anti-Semitism. And etymologically, while Semitic in linguistic sense refers to a family of languages originating in the Middle East, anti-Semitism as a form of bigotry refers to the specific entrenched hatred of Jewish people regardless of their religiosity. And this intrinsic hatred of Jewish people, regardless of how religious they were, was of course at the foundation of Nazism. And while America positions itself against blatantly anti-Semitic societies like World War II Germany, the same anti-Semitic logic has played out here as well. For example, there's the age-old conspiracy that Jews control the media, often justified by the strong representation of Jewish people as leaders of Hollywood and entertainment corporations. But the creation of many Hollywood major motion picture studios by Jewish individuals can be easily analyzed by looking at the economic circumstances of European Jewish migration to the United States, and of course by looking at the anti-Semitism that excluded them from Protestant-dominated society and pushed them into emerging markets like theater and cinema. But sadly instead, the conspiratorial logic that Jews control the media because of their collective plotting for global economic domination usually wins out in the minds of bigots. And this anti-Semitic conspiracy has birthed further anti-Semitic conspiracies, like the ideas that Jews were plotting to destroy white American society by supporting diversity, miscegenation, and racial justice, and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, these ideas have only grown with increased US support and attention toward Israel. 30 years of data from the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism shows that anti-Semitic hate crimes in the United States increase dramatically every time that Israel becomes dominant in the news cycle. From October 7th of this year, the day of the Hamas attack, there have been 388% more incidents of harassment, vandalism, and/or assault against Jewish people in the United States than in the same period last year. And to be clear, this is not because these Jewish victims had any ability to affect the actions or policies of the Israeli government, but instead because the illogical and hateful ideology of anti-Semitism has always sought to scapegoat Jewish people for the world's problems solely because they are Jewish. But did you know this, and did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments and follow for more.